Switch over to Warhammer Community here. Again, still have to send out the call, but don't need to send it out as many because, again, I am switching over to having the full divergence and split between the two sites now. I am, in case it's not obvious, I am again struggling this morning. Big surprise. Not as bad as yesterday, though. Yesterday sucked so bad. I've again twiddled with OBS. We'll see if it makes any difference, because I've noticed that at least on Twitch, my PoE streams are really, really ragged. They're being broken up like crazy. All right, while I'm doing this, I just realized I can talk about where Adeptus Custodes stand right now. I've always been trying to be very plain with the fact that I honestly do believe that balancing Custodes is a very tricky proposition. Like, it's really difficult to get the balance right on a Custodes army. The cords here are getting out of control. Nope, I do not want you to drop, please, controller. Just need these cords to get into proper management. Custodes, Knights, anytime you've got so few models on the table, especially in a game that's about playing missions and playing objectives, it becomes very hard to balance them because you're trying to represent them as these extremely elite, powerful units. But if you make them too powerful, then the points cost results in you having so few units, you can't do anything. So even though, yeah, your units are just mauling their way through anything in front of them, it doesn't matter, because as much as that helps in winning the game is about scoring objectives. You know, the game is about accomplishing missions. And so oftentimes you find that, you know, you have too few units to actually do that. But by the same token, if you make them cost too little, make them too weak, they stop feeling like what they're supposed to be. This is especially true with knights. We're seeing there are some leaked packaging materials for knights kits that came out in other regions. And they're going to be changing, or it looks like in the new codex they might be changing the defensive profiles on knights, which will probably result in them being much easier to kill. And, you know, if they go too far on that, if the knights are too easy to kill, then the faction loses a lot of its identity, not to mention the fact that it's like, you know, you've already got so few game pieces to begin with. I actually have the Custodes book. It's been a while. This is one of the few codexes I have. I've only currently got 3 10th edition codexes. I've got my Tyranids, Genestealer Cult, and then I've got Custodes. I will probably pick up the Guard Codex when it comes out because it interacts with GSC. Even though, unfortunately, they decided to make that a detachment in and of itself, and otherwise you don't get any access to Imperial Guard in GSC, which is a little frustrating. It would have been nice if they'd at least included a Brood Brothers detachment. Or not a Brood Brothers unit. Maybe a looted Lehman Russ or something like that. But they took a lot of the shine off of the Custodes detachments. Now, they did something that, in my opinion, they needed to do. And the worst thing they could do with this detachment is bring it back. And that is, they separated the 4-up Feel No Pain against mortals out of the detachment rules. It still exists in many forms within the detachment, but it's like stratagems, enhancements, that kind of thing. Because as we saw in 9th edition, when your models are this elite, if you've got access to a 4-up Feel No Pain against mortals as a detachment rule, you do not play any other detachments. You just play that 4-up Feel No Pain. Because otherwise, you're too susceptible to mortals and your models just die and you can't play the game. So that's one thing we're going to have to look for in this detachment. Is there a way in the detachment to protect your units? Right now, if I understand correctly, there was that one player who was, you know, very obviously proving a point, who won a GT with the Sisters of Silence detachment. But my understanding is that Auric Champions, there's one where you've got kind of like a Call the Wa ability that got a pretty good buff in the balanced data slate. That one's really good. I don't think that's Auric Champions, though. I can't remember what the name of that detachment is. I don't feel like pulling my book off the shelf to look at it. I know I'm being lazy, but... and then you've got the Talons of the Emperor detachment. Those 2 detachments are doing really well, especially the one where you have the Call to Wa ability. Those 2 detachments are doing really well. So, but the other 2 detachments are basically unheard of. So they could really obviously use some detachment love. Let's go ahead and take a look at the news. See if there's anything else. Nope, we've still got Still pretty light news so far. So let's see what we have. Grotmas calendar day, gifts of gold and death. The Emperor provides with a double dose of detachments today. We're joined by the golden gods of the Adeptus Custodes and the matte black acolytes of the Officio Assassinorum. That's right, they did mention that they were going to do assassins today. I'm guessing that's going to be like a detachment, an assassin-themed detachment for agents. Agents need an army roll. That's what agents need. They need an army roll. Their army roll is literally a rule in the core book. Because their army roll is, hey, you get to take a detachment. Yeah, everybody gets to take a detachment. It's in the rules of 40k. Within the deepest engine vaults of the Imperial Palace resides the ancient mighty vehicles of the Custodians. Aramite-clad combat walkers bristling with arcane weapons aroused from stasis, ready to be unleashed upon the galaxy's battlefields in the Solar Spearhead Detachment. Venerable land raiders as old as the Imperium are awoken by complex rituals and prepared for war. When battle dawns, these dread engines of destruction rumble towards the cowering foe, their guns emitting furious torrents of destruction. Those brave or foolish enough to stand before this armored spearhead are crushed beneath the tread of Auric battle tanks or smashed to bloody pulp by wrathful interred champions. Okay, right off the bat, this has a tendency to be broken the way that the Necron detachment we had from yesterday appears to be broken. I'm kind of with Art of War. It's definitely too powerful. I again, it would have been nice if I had checked up on what the other detachments did, because apparently it is better than Canoptic Court is. Or at least most people are thinking they prefer to take that than Canoptic Court. But it is not as broken as people think it is. It is one of those detachments where if your opponent, the Necron player, is playing that detachment, you can play the mission and basically there are ways to shut that detachment down. It's not going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, and you're going to lose a lot of models, but you can shut that detachment down. But it is one that's probably going to need to get some nerfs. So I'm worried that this is going to happen here too, because Custodes vehicles are already good. The Caladius is already good. Their Dreadnoughts are already good. So their Land Raiders aren't. Like their I don't think anyone takes Custodes Land Raiders, but the rest of their vehicles, especially their Forge World stuff, is already good. Auric Armor provides new rules for these aggressive machine spirits based on how damaged their vehicles are. They also benefit from the Moritoi Ancients detachment rule, or Moritoi, it might be how that's pronounced, or Moritoi. Ancients detachment rule, where Adeptus Custodes Walker units gain 2 inches of movement and add +1 to advanced and charge rolls. For those of you who don't know, the Moritoi are they are a specific division of the attachment of the Custodes for their fallen brethren. So for every they basically take they basically put them in all of their interred brethren into a specific kind of revered ancient status, which makes sense. I mean, when you think of the Custodes lore. The Adamantine Talisman improves the attack strength and damage characteristics of weapons by the bearer by 1. Oh, I didn't actually read. Where Adeptus Custodes walk 2 inches of movement +1 advance and charge rolls. Yeah. 2 inches of movement on Dreadnought's important. Like, Dreadnoughts are way, way slow in 10th edition. While stratagems like Unstoppable, where an Ancient Custodes vehicle or mounted unit can move horizontally. Oh, it's going to do mounted? So are Storm Eagles actually going to be good now? Can move horizontally through models and terrain features. Hey, it's another one of those rules. There will be very little getting in the way of these powerful engines. Powerful war engines. I was about to say engines of war. That's how I wanted to read that. And then no Scrooge is safe from the shadowy operatives of the Officio Assassinorum, who are the focus of today's second detachment, the Veil Blade Elimination Force. Mwahahaha. The lethally efficient agents of the Officio Assassinorum ordinarily operate alone. When assigned particularly well-protected or formidable target, however, assassins from several temples may be brought together alongside other assets drawn from the military, ecclesiarchy, and judicial wings of the Imperium. It's the one book from Horus Heresy was the full assassin team, the detachment. They need to get us the Venatus and what's the information-based temple? There's a temple about using information to remove threats to the Imperium, and I can't remember what it's called. Obviously, the Venatus or Venenum or whatever it is killing with poisons. But we used to have one. I think there used to be a Forge World miniature for Heresy for the Venenum. These bespoke formations possess enough firepower to break through to the target's defense and ensure the killing blow is landed. This detachment boosts the power of Imperial Assassins to new heights with the Extremist Sanction roll, which has two effects. The first simply lets each assassin use any once per battle ability they have a second time. Shield breaker rounds twice, you say. While the second brings a mandatory upgrade such as a Calidus' Assassin's decoy targets. This enables her to take the place of any one of your other infantry models in your movement phase and get to targets that thought they were safely out of her reach. So, more powerful assassins, you say? Stratagems such as Orbital Oversight will help to keep your assassins safe from retribution while they perform their lethal work, limiting the range they can be targeted to extremely close. With most assassins, that's a very uncomfortable place to be. There are a lot of tricks available in this detachment, so be sure to stay off the Officio Assassinorum's naughty list. Cole will be the least of your worries. There's another double banger tomorrow. Grotmas is all about friends, and Imperial and Chaos Knights are both bringing theirs. So we're getting both Night Houses tomorrow. Both Loyalist and Traitor Houses. All right. Here's Solar Spearhead. Here's Veil Blade. All right. Detachment Rule, Auric Armor. The venerable war engines of the Adeptus Custodes possess aggressive machine spirits. While an Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit from your army is at starting strength, unless that unit is an aircraft or is battle shocked, add 2 to the objective control characteristic of models in that unit. That sounds familiar. While an Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit from your army is below starting strength, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. While Adeptus Custodes unit from your army is below half strength, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. So basically, your Custodes already, your vehicles already start with a relevant roll. This is, I think we're +1 to hit. All right, now I got it check. While I'm here. And this is why I don't want to take them off my bookshelf. I think they gave us OC3 in the balanced data slate. And we get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. So this is rerolls to hit and wound, but we get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. Because they don't like giving Tyranids rerolls for some reason. Now, I seem to recall Custodes have a decent number of wounds. So there's Talons. Shield Host. That's the one where you have your martial mastery roll. Null Maiden Vigil and Orc Champions. Yeah. Oh, it is Auric Champions that gets to call the wall. So maybe all the Custodies detachment except for Null Maiden are doing decent. All right, so and then I think we got +3 is what they gave us. So this is slightly different than Crusher Stampede, but it feels a lot like Crusher Stampede. And that was in the June balance data slate, I believe. It was either in the June balance data slate or the January balance data slate. Either way, it'll be in here. Shadow Warp, Crusher Stampede detachment. Oh no, it is just +2. So this proved to be a pretty decent buff to Crusher Stampede. So yeah, so this is Crusher Stampede for Custodes vehicles, basically, except with rerolls instead of +1. I have a feeling... No, +1 to hit wouldn't work. +1 to hit doesn't matter. Custodes usually hit on 2s. I mean, yes, you do have -1 to hit rules out there, but I think Custodes are also one of the factions that hasn't ignore penalties. So I think Trajan might still have that. And reroll wounds is always relevant. So yeah. So and they get another one. So here's the Moratoya Ancients. The Adeptus Custodes Honored Fallen are eager for battle. Add 2 inches to the move characteristics of models in Adeptus Custodes Walker units from your army, and add 1 to advance in charge rolls made for such units. This is already a pretty good start. Keyword. In Muster Army Step, you can select up to 2 Adeptus Custodes Walker models from your army. The selected units gain the character keyword. This means that the selected model can be given enhancements, and one of them can be selected as your warlord. Do you want to have a Dreadnought as your warlord? I think you might want to have a Dreadnought as your warlord. You could potentially run pure vehicles with this. You're still going to take guard though, because you need something to secure objectives. Although you could also just grab some Imperial agents for that too, I guess. All right, enhancements. Adamantine Talisman, 25 points. This amulet contains a reservoir of promethium harvested from the wreckage of one of the Adeptus Custodes' most ancient land raiders. The fluid is said to possess the last lingering traces of that ancient vehicle's bellicose machine spirit, inspiring greater might and ferocity within its bearer. Adeptus Custodes model only improve the attacks and strength and damage characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer by 1. Those are all relevant. Those are all important. Obviously, they could have been made this even better with AP, but that's still really good. Augury Uplink. The war engine of the Adeptus Custodes possessed the array of augury equipment that combines to build an intricate picture of the unfolding conflict, enabling the bearer to tap into this accumulated data stream, detect incoming threats, and angle their armor to repel the worst of the enemy attacks. 25 points, Adeptus Custodes mod only. The bearer has a Feel No Pain 5+ ability. 5 up Feel No Pain is also relevant. And when you consider the fact you can give this to a Custodes Walker, yeah! Honored Fallen, Aura. Ooh, auras can be broken. We saw that yesterday. The eldest warrior of the Moratoi are revered champions with centuries of battle experience, and their presence on the battlefield is inspirational. Adeptus Custodes vehicle model only, while a friendly Adeptus Custodes infantry or Adeptus Custodes mounted unit is within 6 inches of the bearer. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. So your vehicles are potentially going to be rerolling hit rolls of 1 to begin with. And now also your infantry and your mounted are getting it. So you're probably wondering, how is this only 15 points? Like, wasn't the one from yesterday like 35? Like 30, 35 points, that kind of range? Pardon me. Once again, the allergies are being mean to me. Don't get allergies, it's a trap. Also, don't get insomnia. You can't do anything about the allergies. There are things you can do about the insomnia, though. But yeah, this is only affecting your infantry. And again, rerolling 1s is not as relevant on 2+ as it is on other armies, but still, rerolling 1s means that you're rerolling all your misses for Custodes most of the time. So yeah, this is another good one. Oh, this is going to be tough picking an enhancement, I think. Well, let's take a look. Veterans of the Cataphracti. 10 points. This champion has served amongst the Cataphracti and is a master of coordinating swift armored assaults. Adeptus Custodes infantry or Adeptus Custodes mounted only. In your movement phase, select one Adeptus, so a shield captain on Dawn Eagle or a shield, otherwise another type of Custodes character. In your movement phase, select one Adeptus Custodes vehicle or Adeptus Custodes mounted unit within 6 inches of the bearer. Until the start of your next command phase, that unit is eligible to shoot in a turn which fell back. Also relevant. And it's cheap. I think it's going to be tough. Interestingly, I think it's probably the one you leave home. It depends on how vehicle heavy you're going. But this is another A to S tier enhancement list. So we've got like a B to A tier detachment roll. This probably bumps it up. Because Crusher Stampede is not the strongest detachment roll by any stretch of the imagination. It's the stratagems in Crusher, which is why Tyranid players are seeing success with it. Speaking of which... Flawless Construction, 1 CP Battles Tactic. The vehicles of the Adeptus Custodes are the finest examples of their kind. Their expertly wrought armored forms contain ancient and esoteric technology, including auto-repair subroutines and reactive field generators. Use this during your opponent's shooting phase or any fight phase. Just after an enemy unit has selected its target, you select an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that's selected as the target of one or more attacks. And it's new transhuman. So new transhuman is good, so this is good. Especially, again, just like with the Necron detachment yesterday, when you consider the fact you're putting this on a Land Raider. I don't know what the strength on the Caladius is, or what the toughness on the Caladius is, but yeah, this is good. Unstoppable. 1 CP strategic ploy, armored in adamantine and possessed of furious machine spirits. The vehicles of the Adeptus Custodes are almost impossible to stop in their tracks. Used during your movement phase at the start. An Adeptus Custodes vehicle or Adeptus Custodes mounted unit from your army. Until the end of phase, models in your unit can move horizontally through models and terrain features. Again, we saw this yesterday. This is phenomenal. This is a phenomenal strat. I wonder how many we're going to get from yesterday. Yesterday was a vehicle detachment, you know. I mean, to be fair, we're getting how many free detachments? It wouldn't surprise me if we got just a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit of crossover. Relentless Persecution. A 1 CP strategic ploy. Custodians coax wrathful fury from their war engine's machine spirit to hunt down and eliminate their foes at speed. Use on your movement phase just after an Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit from your army advances. You target a vehicle. Until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it advanced. If your unit has the Walker keyword, until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced. And I like the timing on this, because you use this after the advance, so you get to see how far you got. So if you got a 1 on your advance roll and you're just nowhere near combat, you don't have to worry about it. And again, this combined with this, yee! Emperor's Vengeance. 1 CP battle tactic. Even as Death's cold embrace falls upon them, custodians vent the last of their wrath upon the foe. Used in the fight phase just after an enemy unit selected its target. 1 Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, if that model has not fought this phase, roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if your unit has the Walker keyword. On a 4-up, do not remove it from play. Destroyed model can fight after attacking unit has finished making its attacks. When doing so, it is assumed to have 1 wound remaining and is then removed from play. Pardon me, eesh. My body just wants to make all the obnoxious noises today. All right, so yeah, so 3 up for a walker or 4 up for like a custodian guardian or something like that. So again, I kind of wish this was a little bit more reliable, but it is only 1 CP. Punishment Inescapable. 1 CP strategic ploy. The 10,000 are relentless in pursuing the Emperor's foes and thorough in their annihilation. No armor, sorcery, or hiding place can shield an enemy from their wrath. Used during your shooting phase, 1 Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by the model in your unit have ignore cover. And until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to your attack's ballistic skill characteristic or any or all modifiers to the hit roll. Because they're elite, so they get the ignore cover. They get the ignore cover roll plus. Oh, man. And then Wrathful Advance. The golden armored onslaught smashes through the enemy line, trapping the foe and preventing their escape. Used in the fight phase just before an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army piles in. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a pile-in move, it can move D3 plus 3 instead of 3 inches. So not a 6-inch pile-in. So that's interesting that they went with a D3 plus 3 instead of just a 6-inch pile-in. But that's still good. This is probably the weakest of these. This is an S tier stratagem section. And I really want to point something out. Adeptus Custodes unit. Adeptus Custodes unit. Adeptus Custodes unit. You've got 3 stratagems here that you can use on any unit. And this one can be used on Adeptus Custodes vehicle or mounted. So just because you're taking a lot of vehicles doesn't mean that your guard don't get to have fun. Doesn't mean that your shield captains don't get to have fun. This is a good one. Yesterday was a good one. This is a good one. Yeah. This is going to see play. This is almost certainly going to see play. This is not as good as the Necron detachment from yesterday because, like I said, this would have been a B tier detachment roll. This, I think, brings it up to A tier because it means your dreadnoughts actually get to come out and play. And then you add in this so you can give your dreadnoughts enhancements. This is a cool detachment. This is going to see play. I'd say this is probably better than any of the detachments the Custodes currently have. So it wouldn't surprise me, especially since in the past we've seen Custodes players shift to doing vehicle heavy detachments. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a shift to this detachment competitively. Again, I don't think this is too good. I don't think this is as good as the Necron from yesterday, but this is really good. This is a really good detachment. This could be a significant power boost to Custodes. This might make them a problem again. All right, Imperial Agents. This detachment, though, would have to pull some serious weight in order to make Agents of the Imperium a problem. All right, Detachment Rule, Extremist Sanction. When pursuing an extremist level target, the agents of the Officio Assassinorum are expected to push their altered minds and bodies beyond the limits of endurance. Additional equipment, augmentation, and ammunition may be provided to complete the task. Officio Assassinorum units from your army can use the Overkill, Soulless Horror, and Shield Breaker abilities twice per battle instead of once per battle, but cannot use such an ability more than once in the same battle round. When mustering your army, each Officio Assassinorum unit from your army has the relevant extremist ability shown on the right. You must increase the point cost of each of those units by the amount shown. If this causes your army to exceed the points limit for the battle you're playing, you cannot include that unit in your army. So in other words, I guess this is just because it's like well, I had to take it. They're hitting the rules lawyers right off the bat there. Like any sane player knows that does not mean you get to go above your army's points cost. But they're preempting, and they're seeing the Roy's lawyers going, well, it said I had to upgrade it. It's not my fault that my army is now however many 2,000 points plus this added up. Let's see, 40, 80, 125, 170. So yeah, it's not my fault I've got a 2170 army. It's the rules. It's the rules' fault. No. Come on. Come on, people. And then, like I said, the worst part is there are players that do that. And it's not competitive players. Everyone thinks this is the competitive players that do this shit. Competitive players are great. Somebody goes to a tournament, they get into the bottom, they play the bottom tables, and they play some whack player who's in the bottom tables, and they think that's what competitive players are like. That whack player isn't going past mid tables. He is never going to see a tournament win. Never going to see a tournament win. The people who actually win tournaments are the players who love being challenged and love having to outthink opponents. They're not the kind of players that try to win by cheese or by some crazy rules lawyering. And they definitely don't cheat. It's like every so often one of those players manages to cheat, or somebody in the top feels the pressure and cheats. But the competitive scene has gotten very good at discouraging those players from showing up and making sure those players aren't successful. All right. Decoy targets, 40 points. Agents of the Calidus Temple are known to utilize vat-grown doubles to confound their foes. Calidus Assassin model only, twice per battle, so all of these abilities look like they're going to be twice per battle. In your movement phase, you can select one other friendly infantry model that is on the battlefield and not within engagement range of one or more enemy units. The selected model is destroyed, ignoring any rules that are triggered when a model is destroyed, and this model is removed from the battlefield and set up again as close as possible to where that destroyed model was, and not within engagement range of one or more enemy units. This ability cannot be used more than once in the same battle round. So this is kind of like the assassin rule that old school 40k and that Warhammer Fantasy used to have. You used to see this a lot. Like, for example, I played Dark Elves and my assassins work this way. It is a cool ability. Anything that gives your units more mobility is good. So this is good. Esoteric Explosives. 40 points. The Calexis operative has been outfitted with various grenades tailored to destroy their assassin's targets. Calexis Assassin model only. Each time this model is targeted with the grenade stratagem, one mortal wound is inflicted for each d6 roll of 3 up instead of for each 4 up. So you do a few more mortal wounds. I'm not sure that's worth 40 points. Intraneural biotech, 35 points. The Eversur's agent neurons have been surgically spliced to enhance awareness and speed of thought. Eversur assassin models only. Once per battle round, you can target this model with the heroic intervention or counteroffensive stratagem. Pardon me. For 0 CP, and can do so even if you've already used that stratagem on a different unit this phase. Remember, if it specifically calls it out and says you can do this, then you get to do it. It's only if it says a stratagem that it doesn't work anymore. So you are specifically calling out intervention and counteroffensive, then you get to use it. And counteroffensive is still very powerful. So the only thing is it is once per battle round. So you have to choose your play. But even still, heroic intervention and counteroffensive are very relevant. So this is really good. This is definitely worth 35 points on your Eversur. And Micro Melta rounds, 45 points. These projectiles are tipped with miniaturized Melta charges that detonate on impact. Vinegar Assassin model only. The model's Exodus rifle has anti-monster 4+ and anti-vehicle 4+ abilities. Yeah, that's mean. That's mean. Man, though, they really insist that you need to pay a lot of money for your Vindicare. All right, right off the bat, this detachment roll, affects 4 units in your army. And unless the next page is an enhancement section, you've got 4, they're good, but they're 4 mandatory enhancements that you have to give to 4 specific models. So you've got no flexibility in this. All right. I cannot rate either of these more than a C. Even though these are good rules, I cannot rate either of them more than a C because of how they work. Because again, you're only affecting up to 4 models. And as the thing, up to 4 models. Now, obviously, if you're taking this, you're taking all 4 assassins. What are you doing? Like, seriously, if you're going to play a whole freaking detachment about assassins and playing a strike team of assassins, like in the Horus Heresy trying to kill Horus, you're going to take all 4 of them. So you're going to get all 4 of these, and you're going to get have all 4 units benefiting from this rule. But like, that is still a small chunk of your army. So we got 170 here. Each assassin is, I think, like 100. Like, they're less than 120 points when you play them in agents. So like, you're talking about around a quarter of your army, points wise, is and just a minuscule portion of it from model count, because you can get really high model count in agents. Just this minuscule portion of your army model count, and only a quarter points wise, is actually benefiting from your detachment roll. Like, I'm not going to be able to rate this any more than a C unless the stratagems are really doing some cool things. Okay, prime target. 1 CP battle tactic. A primary target has been revealed. All efforts must be made to ensure the kill. Used during your shooting phase or any fight phase, an agent's model that has not been selected to shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a character unit, reroll a wound roll of 1. If that attack is made by an official assassin or a model and it targets the enemy warlord, you can reroll a wound roll and say, that's too many. Why is this here? Why is that there? Just give the assassins the reroll wounds. Come on. Come on. This is one of those once in a blue moon stratagems. Because this has to be targeting a character unit. Now, there are obviously some character, like there are some vehicle character units like the Silent King, or monster character units like so many of my characters. So it's like, you know, this is occasionally going to not need precision, but if the character is leading a unit, you need precision. So this is only going to affect you can only use this on an agent's unit that has precision in order to benefit it, or that is targeting specific characters, or is targeting a character who's just lost their unit. So, and then you add in this at the end where it's like, oh well, you only use it this time. It's like, yeah, come on. No. You're going to use it when you can, but because again, reroll wounds is always relevant, but you're only going to use this every now and then. Like, don't be surprised if you go an entire game and don't use this. Although I'm sure people are going to be like, yeah, well, I'm going to use it on my Vindicare. And it's like, okay, yeah. Keep in mind, your opponent's just not going to let you shoot their characters with your Vindicare. It's like... All right, 1 CP for Orbital Oversight, which is a strategic ploy. Aided by orbiting assets, when as the assault begins, void ships flood communication and works with jamming frequencies, firing screening bombardments, and otherwise mask the agent's approach. Use in your shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected... use in your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. It is a red stratagem. An agent of the Imperium infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Until the end of the phase, your unit can only be selected as the target of a ranged attack if the attacking model is 18 inches. Or if your unit has the lone operative ability, if the attacking model is within 6. This is money. This is money. This is a good strat. Just being able to stop them from shooting within 18 is really good for any of your units. This is going to make it really hard for them to kill your assassins. Whether it's your Vindicare in the back, or you've got an Exocrine, Eversur. You got an Eversur running up the board. This is money. Hyperstims, 2 CP, so it's got work to do. It's a battle tactic. Unenhanced mortal bodies are routinely and unknowingly dosed with experimental stimulation cocktails, I like the unknowingly, that serve to reinforce their resilience, at least in the short term. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after any enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Agents of the Imperium character unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more attacking units' attacks until the end of the phase. Add 1 to the toughness characteristics of models in your unit. In addition, if it is an Eversur Assassin, until the end of phase, it has a 4-up Feel No Pain. This should be 1 CP. This should be 1 CP. Why is this not 1 CP? +1 toughness for your models in an Imperial Agent's army is not that good. Come on. You've got so much toughness 3 in there. You got Space Marines who are toughness 4. You got like Grey Knight Terminators that are toughness 5. This isn't that good. It's not even that good on the Eversur. This should be 1 CP. All right. 1 CP strategic ploy stratagem, blind grenades. This grenade releases thick black smoke and broad spectrum electromagnetic shaft that disrupts the vision and foul augury equipment upon detonating. Use in your opponent's charge phase just after an enemy unit has declared a charge. 1 Agents of the Imperium grenades or Vindicare assassin unit from your army that was selected as one of the targets of that charge and is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Until the end of the phase, subtract 1 from charge rolls made for that enemy unit, or if your unit is a Vindicare assassin, subtract 2 from the charge roll made for the enemy unit instead. More money. More money. You gonna try and charge me out of Deep Strike? No, you're not. More money. -1 to charge. We actually haven't seen a lot in the way of giving charge penalties out. We have actually not seen a lot of giving charge penalties out. Will Sapping Salvo, 1 CP strategic ploy, aiming concentrated volleys of fire towards an exceptionally resilient foe. These agents erode the will of their target, increasing their vulnerability to the concentrated psychic onslaught of the Colexis Assassin's Animus Speculum. Use in your shooting phase, 1 agency Imperium infantry unit from your armies that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have sustained hits 1. In addition, if it is a Colexis Assassin unit, until the end of the phase, change the damage characteristic of ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit to 3. Banger. Absolute banger. More money. Ensnaring Trap, 1 CP strategic ploy stratagem. The eyes of the Officio Assassinorum are everywhere as the foe turns to flee. The Noose tightens, agents already forewarned of enemy movements and move swiftly to cut off all avenues of retreat. Use at the end of your opponent's charge phase, 1 agent of the Imperium infantry unit that is from your army that is within 6 inches of 1 or more enemy units and would be eligible to declare a charge against 1 or more of those enemy units. Your unit can declare a charge. When doing so, you must select 1 or more of those enemy units as the targets of that charge, and your unit does not receive a charge bonus this turn. In addition, if it is a Calidus Assassin unit and it makes a charge move as a result of the stratagem, until the end of turn, each time a model of your unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. That's a lot of words, but it's basically you get another... it's the same one we saw for Dark Angels earlier this week, except better. Better because it's 1 CP, and better because your Calidus will get +1 to wound if you use it on your Calidus. So this is another absolutely fantastic stratagem. Getting an extra heroic intervention, yeah, it's got limitations on it. You got to be within 6 inches. But getting an extra heroic intervention is fantastic. This is great. So 1, 2, 3, 4 absolutely fantastic stratagems. This one is crazy. And then we got one that really needed to be 1 CP. What were they thinking? And then another that you will use occasionally. You probably won't use this every game, but every so often your opponent will leave something in line of sight to your Vindicare and you just blast it. Or every so often you'll be in a situation where you're up against a Silent King or you're up against Tyranids and you will blast them. And you'll note that the vast majority of these target... Yeah, and this is character. This is a character. Why? Why? Because you could potentially use it on something like an Inquisitor? I don't get it. I don't get it. Now this should be 1 CP. Because it's only the character. That's the only one. Oh, it is. See, it is mono. It is okay. It is character unit, so you can use it on the. Okay, so you can still target like units that you've joined, but even still, +1 on most agents. That's not relevant. Like, it's a nice to have buff, but this should be 1 CP. So yeah, this is fail. But you got just 4, including 1 S+ tier stratagem. This is great. So once again, Imperial agents are making up for things in the stratagem section. We've got a good detachment on our hands with those strats. This is not going to be a again, agents need an army roll. They just need an army roll. They need to give them something in the balanced data slate in order to actually have them be relevant. But if you want to play a fluffy, I'm going to try and assassinate the warlord detachment, this is it. This will do it. This will be fun and fluffy. If you're a narrative player, you're going to absolutely love this. So this is fun. It's fluffy. You're still playing Navis. If you're actually going to try to play competitively, you're still playing Navis. You're just gonna field your Rogue Trader army. If you're going to try to play competitively. But if you're just having a fun game, this will give you a fun game. You'll get to do so many crazy things with your assassins. And especially if you've got the kind of opponent who like really likes it when their opponent does cool things, like me. Like I really love it when I see my opponents do cool things on the battlefield. Especially if you got a good-natured opponent who loves seeing cool stuff happen in a narrative game. This is going to be a lot of fun for narrative, but I do think that's where it's going to be confined. I do think you still play rogue traders if you're playing agents. So yeah, and again, agents needs an army roll. So I still got errands to run. I want to make sure I got this done before I did those errands, though, because I want to come back from my errands and I just want to play a lot of Path of Exile. So I'm going to leave it there. Custodes got an absolutely fantastic detachment. This is going to be definitely a competitive one we're going to see on tables. And this is one that you and your friends are going to have a ball with. Like you're a narrative player who really enjoys playing cool games. You're going to have a ball with this detachment. So that's where I am. Until next time, until tomorrow, when we've got 2 knight detachments to look at, and boy, both of those, I'm sure knight players are eagerly on tenterhooks going, yeah, give me my detachment. This has been Divine Erdrick, and I'll see you all